That's the moment the Party for Socialism and Liberation says was inaudible in the critical incident video showing the police shooting that killed Adam Sykes.
Today we tell Mike Brown and the ruling class that we won't be divided. We've seen these tricks before. Immigrants are not dangerous. Capitalism is.
Welcome to Naptown People's Radio, a weekly podcast brought to you by the Indianapolis branch of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. I'm your host, Derek Ford, and I'm honored to be joined by my comrade and fellow organizer, Lindsay Holtgrave. We're here to guide you through the pressing issues facing our city from the perspective of our people, not our oppressors. And as organizers involved in these issues, we're not just talking about the news, we're making it happen. All right, so two things I want to talk about today. The first is an Indy Star Mirror Indy investigation uncovered that for over a decade, Mayor Joe Hogsett has relied on no-bid contracts that, shocker, benefited his friends, some of whom are Democratic Party donors and even former politicians, and almost all of whom have deep ties to the Democratic Party. The reporting in Mirror Indy opens with a wild example. The former City Hall building, or Old City Hall, at 202 North Alabama Street. The vacant building has been a linchpin of the mayor's revitalization, or as we would call it, gentrification strategy for downtown Indy for 10 years. Today, the building still remains vacant. However, as reported in the Mirror Indy, quote, at least 4 people with close ties to Hogsett, including 2 former city employees, a top donor, and a former council Democrat, worked on contracts related to Old City Hall, end quote. And these contracts totaled around $1.5 million since 2017, and all of them were awarded as no-bid contracts in direct contradiction to Hogsett's campaign promises. They got him elected as mayor in 2015. So his first campaign, which he won against a Republican, Mayor Greg Ballard, included a program he called Disclose Indy, and it was directly targeted against Ballard, whose non-competitive bidding processes were, regularly covered in the press at the time. And, for those who might not know, a non-competitive bidding practice is, you send out bids for projects, usually, almost always, and then you evaluate them. And it's not always the cheapest one wins, but, you balance cost with quality, and maybe there's a long-term and, sort of insurance involved or whatever. So a no-bid contract is when you just, you don't seek out any other bids. You just award it. And there are some instances in which this is necessary because, there's one group in Indianapolis that will work, do this kind of work. I've run into that in my housing unit, actually. But not revitalizing an entire building. So, that's what he's in hot water for. So back in 2015 at a press conference outside of Old City Hall, he said, as federal prosecutor, the U.S. Attorney's Office sent a message to those in government that it doesn't matter who you are or what party you belong to. If you betray the public trust, you deserve to be punished to the fullest extent of the law. As mayor, I would apply that same attitude to every level of city government from top to bottom. Still, City Hall remains vacant. So, Hogsett's Disclose Indy plan also, interestingly, included a promise to limit mayoral terms to 2-term limits, basically, which he has also betrayed. So I am just waiting for the U.S. Attorney's Office to come in and punish Hogsett to the full extent of the law. I know you are too, Lindsay, expecting that. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is, in good news, in a sense, right? On January 20th, the anniversary of Trump's counter-inauguration, the Indianapolis branch of the PSL and other affiliate organizations mobilized to honor Dr. King's legacy by standing in opposition to 1 year of ultra-right-wing policies that he's enacted. Their agendas directly supported by the ruling class, the billionaires. They wanted to destroy workers' rights, civil rights, deport or kill millions of immigrant families, and pave the way for really undoing all the gains that oppressed and working people have won in this country. If you think about it, in 1 year, the Trump administration slashed environmental protections, fired thousands of public sector workers, gave billions of dollars from healthcare and food programs towards, funding ICE and the military-industrial complex, kidnapped the legitimate president of Venezuela, increased the, U.S. new Cold War against China, right? Really elected legislators of both the Republican and Democratic parties haven't done anything to represent the people and their constituents. They refuse to counter Trump's many power grabs. So really standing up to the Trump administration and its agenda has fallen to us, the people. We have the numbers, we have the strategy to counter their offensive. And so I salute everybody who was out there January 20th. And this is not to mention, the ICE assassinations, not to mention the police assassinations that continue. But it's a good sign. The people of our city aren't taking this lying down. If we can wrest the monopoly the Democratic Party holds on this city, and kind of get the rank and file members, those who vote Democrat because they're, not Republicans. If we can get them here, in the streets, we can really, I think, shift the dynamic of forces in the city. What about you?
I think the statement you made about betraying the public trust is quite an interesting one, because I can think of many times that Hogsett has betrayed the public trust, right?
Really?
A few times, and nothing happened. Just thinking about it, I think we've already talked about this, but, when leaders addressed what was happening in Minneapolis, what's happening with ICE, and they asked Hogsett, what are you willing to do to protect your people? He just said, nothing. I will do nothing. I understand you're afraid and I don't care. To me, that is like the most blatant form of betrayal there is. Where was that energy then, now? Yeah.
But he would show up to a pro-choice rally because that was popular, and he'd give this, kind of not militant, but, impassioned speech, right? Mm-hmm. But yeah, when it comes to like challenging authority, because that decision was done at that time, mm-hmm. And now it's like, yep, I understand you're scared, but it's also like, as we said in the show, like, actually we're not. Like, we're protesting. Right. You're scared. Yeah. The hell?
And also, I still can't get an abortion now. So I'm like, what did that do?
Exactly.
It did nothing.
Yeah. Yeah. It just gave you a boost in the polls or whatever.
Mm-hmm. It was almost like it was all for show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I work for the city. I know how a lot of their budgeting things go, and like competitive bid contracts are something I'm at least familiar with. But the idea of developers getting public-owned land with no bid, no consideration of our elected officials, other than whose pockets are going to be filled. Is it my buddy or is it some other random person, right? So I find that interesting.
But not surprising.
But not surprising,
yeah,
for sure.
Not a shocker.
Very in character for Mr. Mayor Joe Hogsett.
Yes. And why else would we become a politician other than to get rich or make your friends rich?
Right. There's no other reason. You could be using your power to defend workers' rights, our civil rights, our reproductive rights. You could actually be doing something there. You could be doing something instead of with all your money for IMPD. You know, I heard that Todd Rokita, great guy, right? He's investigating the IMPD budget, which is interesting to me because I feel like he's just going to tell us that we're going to need more money for IMPD. However, but like you have all this power, but you're holding it for your class, you know, the rich people who wants the power, not the people. Like you're not doing anything in service of us, the people who put you in where you are right now, elected you. It's just completely feckless. Like the whole Democratic Party, it's just, they are so incapable, ineffective at even pretending anymore to be a public good.
Yeah. No, yeah. I went to speak at the ILEA hearing, you know, at the City County Council, and it was just wild. Like, I mean, I brought up Thomas Cook, you know, like, do we want the mayor who's had this sexual predator around him and, you know, like cultivated him, you know, groomed him, protected him? Like, do we want him involved in schools? And like, he just couldn't even look at me. Like, come on, take some responsibility, like anything.
Well, now that responsibility is being put on to the employees of the city, we now have to do a yearly sexual assault and harassment poll. I know you're really confident in the fact that that'll work.
Definitely.
Yeah. So they have a reporting system now. Derek, is that not enough?
Yeah. Yeah, what are they doing? Because I remember they did, like, the floodgates opened after that, and there were all these things filed. But what happens, you know?
They gave us another training. They said you're using it wrong.
Really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Which they probably were. I feel like I did hear some coworkers using it to anonymously report just like pet peeves. But that's what happens when you shift the blame of something that is clearly systemic onto the employees. I mean, that's what HR is there to do. It's to protect the employers, not us workers.
Right. And like, you know, okay, you like fill it out wrong. That doesn't disqualify the entire thing. Like a researcher, you know, gives out surveys and some of them come back like nonsense. And you don't like, oh, I got to start all over.
And what does it say about your leadership in the government that your employees need to go to an anonymous reporting to complain about their upset?
Yeah. You know, great public risk to themselves, you know. And I was out of town, but you were at the J20 event.
Yes.
Yeah. How was it?
It was really awesome. I mean, similarly to our We Fight Back protest the year before on January 20th, it was very cold. But not as similar was the turnout. I mean, we had hundreds of people there rallied to hear everything we had to say. It was kind of a lengthy program in the sense that there was a lot of speakers. They had a lot of stuff to say, but the fact that, you know, as soon as we called the quits for the night, we were thinking about marching, but we didn't because we were just thinking of safety, and like it was cold, it was dark, it was a Tuesday.
It's families.
Right? Yeah, exactly. We were worried that there would be some upset, that we weren't taken to the streets, we weren't fighting. But as soon as we said, all right, guys, that's a wrap, like get home, be safe, like everyone left.
Yeah.
It was actually quite impressive. But like the fact that that just shows to me that they stayed because they wanted to hear what we had to say, and not just us, all the leaders that were there that were speaking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it just shows that when leadership steps up and says something and is direct with the people, like the people will be there.
Yeah.
And they were.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously it was cold, and, you know, people have jobs, people have kids to feed, you know. I hear, you know, children don't get like increasingly happy as they get hungrier and hungrier, right? I mean, you know, you have all these like real, like working class people, right? So maybe if I'm 18 years old or 20 or whatever, or without a kid or without a, you know, any real responsibilities, you know, I could get upset, but like, you know, the masses of people we have to go home at some point, you know, and it is really a testament that they braved the cold to hear every last speech. I mean, that's amazing because it shows, and we forget this, I think, sometimes, that like, because it's routine to us, you know, like, but people value, like, there's such power that comes with finally understanding the real reasons why something or a plethora of things are happening, that your suffering isn't your fault, you know, and that there's a tremendous power that comes with that explanation. And I think that's what people delivered. It's my guess, yeah.
For sure. Something I've been talking about a lot lately is like how I've noticed how some of the speakers that aren't in the PSL, but, you know, are friends of the party, something about their speeches that have changed over the years is that like a lot of them still did say, hey, like, we got to vote. We got to call our senators and make sure they hear us. Now, like, that is now shifting into a more like international solidarity. Instead of talking about that, we're talking about why is the U.S. government bombing Venezuela? So like now we're taking the attention and doing something actually like substantial with it. Like we're asking the people who are showing up to really think logically through these contradictions and understand that no matter Republican, Democrat, these people are not on your side. They're on the side of the billionaires.
Yeah, right. And like, you know, yeah, wait 4 years. Like, how many people is ICE going to murder in 4 years? You know, the IMPD, right? We can't wait. We don't have that luxury, you know. So that is good to hear, and I'll have to reflect on that. But I'm immediately agreeing with you.
Yeah.
In that I've heard that lesson less, because there's nothing also less inspiring than leaving like a rally, you know, where people are angry and they want to act, and then being like, okay, cool, let's act in 2 years. You know, I mean,
love that.
Yeah, and that, you know, no disrespect because we all start someplace, right? But yeah, that's really great, and it just shows that like snaps on people's radio, but people aren't sleeping.
Surely not.
All right, well, that's it for this segment. We will be right back after a short break. And welcome back to the Naptown People's Radio. We are joined by Vernon T. Bateman, a good friend of mine, the centers, the communities, the global community at large, actually. So welcome. It's good to see you, Vernon.
What's up, bro? You know, good to see you too.
So I hear that there's been some recent developments in your case finally.
Well, the prosecutor just admitted that they never had no evidence in my trial from 1998, you know. So I went to trial with no evidence and no nothing, you know. But now I can find, I was saying that, but I ain't had the opportunity to show it. So now I can show it, you know what I'm saying?
Right. And how did the prosecution's admission that they sent you to jail with no evidence, how did that come about?
My legal team applied pressure to force it as well as myself by filing a subpoena duce tecum back in 2007. And my legal team, back in 2017, I believe, and my legal team did the other part and took it and kept the torch pushing, you know, to get it out there. But this is big news to my supporters and to the community and to the people, because I got a lot of people support me really on the fact of my character, my integrity, and how I walk and how I stand, but they never really know the details of the case. So now I can show the details and reflect the light on the details, you know.
Yeah, and those details are important, and they're hard they're hard for me as your friend, and, you know, somebody who's trying to fight for your freedom. Like, they're hard for me to read.
Yeah.
Because they're so absurd. Yeah. Like the 2017 thing you're mentioning.
Yeah.
Right? Literally, they were like, well, the main prosecutor, he didn't recall any DNA evidence, so therefore we're denying it.
Yeah.
Like, what? like vacant based on his recollection of a court case 20 years ago. Kidding me?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, see, that's hard, and that's why, and like I've been fighting my case, but that ain't been the only fight, because now you got a stigma on you, and you fighting for people to really look deeper than, within yourself, and you trying to convince a person and trying to do all this. So it's just about yourself and self inventory and perseverance to get the message out and get people to see the injustice, beside they see that it's just looking at it one way. They can look at it in different dimensions now,
Right. Yeah, it's not just you being like, I'm innocent, here's all the evidence. And I think that your character speaks for itself in many ways. I was, the conversations I've had with my dad, who, as I was saying, like doesn't like anybody, but loves you, like for real, like
he cool.
More than me or my sister probably. Like he's always like, how's Vernon doing? How's Vernon doing? That, actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
And I think your actions consistently since way before we met have been like showing who you are and what you're about.
And trying to fight it, man, within the legal part of it, not knowing as much as I know now, but as the journey continue, everything unravel. But the first time I approached the prosecution with the subpoena duce tecum for DNA testing, they responded back, why after 20-some years you respond, you want a DNA test, and it's not fair to the courts, and this, that, and third. So the next response was, well, the perpetrators wore condoms. And that's why a DNA test won all this, and that's why it wouldn't be effective. And after that, my attorneys took the torch and got the pushing, and they like, well, the evidence room caught on fire. So that's why this, that, and third, come to find out that's like falsified,
That's fake news.
Yeah, it's fake defense. That's a false defense. Yeah. So I'm fighting a false defense. So now the next time they just recently admitted that we never had no evidence, We forced you to trial with no evidence, So that's where miscarriage of justice come in, because I never had an opportunity to have a fair trial without no evidence.
And that all your appeals also weren't fair,
Yeah.
And I want to ask, like, how have you been able to, one of the things that people at the center, were like always commenting on was like your optimism. The other day I was talking to my wife about you, and she was like, he's so gentle. You could never imagine he went through these horrific experiences, So how do you keep that like hope and optimism alive, not only in yourself, but you exude it? Like you make me hopeful,
I just, man, know that I believe in God, and I believe that like it's a better day, and I know what I'm doing ain't even really fully about me. It's about the next person that can take my experience, and I could be the example that they could endure something that's tough and hard, and they can overcome it,
Yeah.
And I know this, so it's different when your journey is for the next person to help,
And not just for like prisons, but also like when you've come to DePaul, you said your message is for like you're going through something difficult, you can make it through it, whatever it is, mental health, deaths in the family, whatever. So it's a universal message, just like art, Yeah,
just like art. Like, on the other side of it, you just know that it's going to be a better day. You know what I mean? Like a person is like, what's the first thing you going to do when you get free? And I just want to be like a father to my daughters. I want to be a part of life. You know what I'm saying? I got to hide those emotions, and I try to hide it through art, cover it up through art.
Yeah. You want to be treated like the man that you are.
Yeah.
I mean, I was reflecting back on like, we're about the same age. I don't have the honor of sharing the birthday with Noble Jew Ali, but not all of us do. But thinking about how like we came up kind of the same time, same age, so we know the same musical references, right?
Yeah.
State Prop, NWA, etc. But then there's so much like that was missed during that time when you were behind bars.
Yeah.
And you did a tremendous growing inside of prisons.
Yeah.
That's how you learn to read and write, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
And teach others how to do the same.
Yeah. Yeah. The power of education, man, and take you further, like way beyond where your body could go. So a lot of people that's in that, even the guys, revolutionaries that taught me how to read and write and stuff like that, they travel inside of a book, and they don't have too many recreational books, they call them, if it's just like story or something that ain't got substance in it. They want stuff that you can really eat and they can teach you, and beside conniving and street dope boy game and all that type of stuff, they want to teach you some knowledge, or something that you can say your community, and that's what they pushing. Mm-hmm. So that's what breeded me and got me in the mold and let me know how effective I am and how powerful I can be. My journey can affect other people's journeys in the future,
Yeah, and you saw that even in prison. I mean, we have the thank you letter from the Indianapolis Public Library System. Yeah. Thank you for donating a copy of each of your books to our library. Yeah. And I can imagine that that's quite a sacrifice in prison.
Yeah, no doubt.
Like to pay for those books, to send them for free.
Yeah, to do it really because there's a lot of guys that's in prison and writing books and they got their books under their mattress, you know what I'm saying? But to continue the journey of it, knowing that I thought that I wouldn't make it out of prison because it's certain moments and certain times that you never know what's going to happen this time. Not just saying that like you'll get into something, but you might get into something that might cause your integrity or freedom, and you'll have to choose, Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if it comes with my integrity, I'm going to choose integrity every time.
I was in correspondence with Shaka, and he was like, hey, man, tell Vern, thanks for holding it down for me.
Shaka solid, man. That's the dude I met in prison, man. That's really, he walk his talk, and he stand on what he believe in, and he go fight to the end. So I could count on him fighting till it's over with, and he know the fight is bigger than himself,
Yeah. And the fight, I was just thinking about this when I was recently in Tokyo again, talking about your books, mm-hmm. and we were talking about the connections between the struggles of Koreans in Japan, and Africans in America. Mm-hmm. And the way that they thought about fighting, and they were like, the fact that we have this school to teach our children Korean language, Korean culture, no matter the enrollments, that the Japanese government is trying to shrink, that endurance itself, that's victory. Yeah. And there's many different ways to fight. So it's not an aggressive fight. No doubt. It's an educated fight. It's a fight, there's many ways to fight, Yeah. And so I think that's what, I've seen come out of you, all the different ways that it's a fight or part of a fight, but it's not like, knuckle to knuckle.
Yeah. It's not just one way. Just imagine like born in the struggle, born in the situation. I just read recently, family in North Korea, I believe, got sentenced to life, double life, and their 2-year-old child got sentenced to life too because of a religious belief of a Bible was in their possession. Mm-hmm. Are you familiar with that situation?
Yeah, it's a little bit different though because they have much fewer other people in prison than we do, mm-hmm. And a lot of people in prison are like spies. But also, you have the choice to bring your family with you to mm-hmm. prison. So they're not doing labor or anything that. Okay, yeah. But it's like the father's going to go to prison for a couple of years, and they have the option to the family can go with
Nurture
them.
the file.
And the state will provide their housing and freedom.
Okay, yeah. So we getting it watered down. What I was getting it watered down to the point that they go take the baby and think of the way that they do us in here, you know?
Yeah.
In the United States, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's totally opposite over there.
Oh, yeah, I believe it, yeah.
And you just got to think, I can't believe that the judge denied it, after they admitted that.
But now my attorneys is making them reconsider, and we got some up our sleeve to make them reconsider, and they pushing it. But I'll give you the updates on how it go and how it develop.
All right, cool. But in the meantime, check the show notes. Go to freevernon.org, sign the petition, donate, and just show up to the next event.
Yeah, The next event is court date. Yeah, that's what we get. Yeah.
That's what's up. All right. Yeah, so we'll be letting our listeners know.
No doubt.
Yeah, we'll be there.
All right.
We'll cancel class,
Yeah, no doubt. We need that.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you so much, Vernon. It's been good to talk to you and catch up and finally have a little bit of hope after so long,
No doubt, man.
And to know that the attorneys are fighting now. They're fighting.
Yeah.
Like they're not, because they're outraged at this.
Yeah.
They got to be like, what the?
Yeah, they
I
can't
never
believe
seen this
it.
before.
Yeah, that's what they saying too.
And I think that's probably because there's a whole lot of Vernon T. Bateman. So when you've been fighting for.
That's right.
All right, brother. Well, thank you again for joining us and informing our listeners. And we're going to be with you every step of the way, like we have been since we met.
Yeah, I appreciate that, bro. Love.
All right. Love.
Yeah.
And after a short break, we'll be right back. And welcome back to Naptown People's Radio. So this week, the Circle City shout out goes to the youth of Minneapolis, the country, and right here in Indianapolis. On Friday, several high schools staged walkouts despite lacking any protections under the law to do so. We had Carmel High School, Noblesville, Mount Vernon High, and Brownsburg High School, where many of our comrades were on the ground to provide support. And earlier that day, the Liberation Center, PSL Indianapolis, and other member groups held a teach-in and workshop to discuss what general strikes are, how we can shut down business as usual, and the hundreds of people who came out agreed we can get ready quickly because we already have truly grassroots movements and spaces like the center. Young people have always been at the forefront of social change and even revolutions. When Marx and Engels wrote the Communist Manifesto, they were 29 and 27 years old, respectively. Leila Khaled was just 15 when she joined the Arab Nationalist League. At the age of 23, she was the first woman to join the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine. Huey P. co-founded the Black Panther Party when he was only 24. That's why we approach everything here as an opportunity to train a new generation of fighters and activists. And we have several ways to do so this week. So shout out to the youth eager to learn how to best fight for justice and those willing to teach from them and learn from them. So this Wednesday, we have a makeup class for the fourth session of our Capital Reading Group. That will be 7 p.m. hybrid. You can register online. It will send you the Zoom link a few hours beforehand. On Friday, we're incredibly excited to host the debut of a new Hispanic cultural hub with their group show Heart and Heritage at the Fonseca Du Bois Gallery, powered by Arte Mexicano in Indiana, on Friday, 6 to 9 p.m. On Saturday, we have Circle City Sangha from 9:30 to 11, followed by our fifth Capital Reading Group at 2. And as always, we'll have Emancipatory Yoga on Sunday from 6 to 8 p.m. As a reminder, we don't take city or state grants or seek out corporate sponsorships. We rely on ourselves and each other. That's the only way we can guarantee our political independence. So please go to IndyLiberationCenter.org/support, where you can make a one-time donation or become a sustainer for the center at large or one specific member group. So that's it for this week's episode of Naptown People's Radio. If you find it helpful or know someone who would, pass it along, leave a comment and like, and help keep the program going by visiting donate.naptownpeoplesradio.com. Remember, the road ahead is long, but we walk it together. Study with your comrades, build with your community, and always remember, practice without theory is chaos, and theory without practice is paralysis. I'm your host, Derek Ford, missing my regular co-host, Danny Abdullah. Stay dangerous, stay disciplined, and stay in the struggle.
We say all power to the people. That means that we are our own liberators. We don't depend on nobody else. We depend on ourselves. And we take responsibility for ourselves. And therefore, we step up for our organization. Those that have proven by their actions and their practice that they represent for us. All power to the people and peace.
Collaboration. Like, we act as if there's a scarcity of rights. If gay people get rights, women can't have rights. But that's not true. A victory for one is a victory for all. Like they ain't the same, you know? And
you talk about people being fearless in the face of whoever there is. They don't care. To the Liberation Center, I would say, this is what we need.